I wanted to take this really brief moment to kind of talk about the next tournament arc and how I think that the selection will go down. Now, if you guys aren't privy to it, if you haven't been up to date with like the spoilers and stuff like that, this is your one moment to stay out of the spoilers for the upcoming arc in Dragon Ball Super starting in February. So you have been warned. Now let's go ahead and get started. So basically, and by the way, I don't know who all has avoided spoilers, because it's kind of hard if you're on the internet, but there are people that legitimately find a way to do it, and I'm not fortunate enough to be that person because I have to cover it on my channel. So anyways, that being said, there are 10 competitors. We've got Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, we have Muten Roshi, Master Roshi, we have Ten Shinhan, we have Android 1718 and Krillin, Majin Buu, and I think that's it actually. I'm pretty sure I'm not missing anybody. That being said, I wanted to talk about how I feel the selection process will go. Now, a lot of those guys are kind of shoo-ins, like they're the strongest characters there. I mean, it's really obvious, of course, Goku and Vegeta would take part in it because obviously they were in the last tournament, and that's where this whole concept stems from, because Zeno was watching Goku and hit, and he was like, hey, I want to, throw another tournament later on. So that's where the whole thing stems from, and Goku kind of requested it. That being said, so him and Vegeta would be shoo-ins. Of course, Buu would be a shoo-in too because he is still one of the strongest characters that they have on Earth. I mean, it's a Universe 7 thing, so like I don't know why they aren't exploring other planets in the universe. Maybe they just want to stick with characters we already know. Totally plausible. That being said, we'll just go ahead and say, since of the characters that we are actually accustomed to, Buu is one of the strongest. Gohan as well. Train or not, Gohan would still be one of the strongest in the universe. And then we have Piccolo. I think that around Piccolo is where things start to kind of not be a guarantee, because you have the Earthlings. You have Krillin, Ten Shinhan, or Kuririn, whatever you want to say, man. I'm going to not be all weeb on them. It gets kind of hard for me because I watch the show in Japanese, and I've watched it from the beginning all the way through, Dragon Ball all the way through, like a couple of times now, so it's really hard for me to not natively go to that type of language now. But we got Krillin and Tien and Master Roshi. So a lot of people are really kind of, I mean, Android 17 and 18 are okay. They're not a bad choice, man. Like, they were really strong anyway, and there's nothing to insist that they haven't gotten any stronger. They also have infinite energy, so it's like they may be, some dark horse picks for this, some dark horse contestants for this arc. So I'm not really too mad about them. I'm not really mad about anything, but I don't think too many people question their selection either, because they are strong characters, even though they've gotten far outclassed at this point. Once again, unless they've trained, which there's nothing to state they have or haven't, they're nice picks. But you look at the Earthling characters and you say, okay, well, why is Master Roshi here, for one? I mean, is it experience? Does he bring something to the table? Of course he does, right? Why is he in particular there? Why is Krillin there, who we know has become a cop? And we know that Tien trains, incessantly, and he probably never really stopped training at this point. So he may be, another legitimate option, So Tien would be a cool candidate there as well. But I think that Krillin makes a lot of sense too, once again, because his wife is taking part. And I think that, Dragon Ball Super will probably play this up to something like, oh man, they selected my wife, I gotta fight too. I gotta show her that I'm a man, something like that. Krillin has that type of persona, even though the facts remain that Krillin has always pulled the baddest ones in the series, no lie. That being said, I do think that something like that will go down. Or maybe the other way around, the inverse, where they're running low on contestants and they say, okay, Krillin, you're going to come. Goku picks Krillin. And 18 is like, oh, well, if Krillin's fighting, I want to fight too. I got to make sure you don't die or some shit like that. Like that's the type of relationship that they have. So I can totally see that being a thing. And Master Roshi is weird too, because you look at it and you're like, where are Goten and Trunks? Now, I personally have not published this video yet. I haven't actually even recorded it and laid down my thoughts yet. I've just got it on paper at this point as far as like a scripted video. But, the whole Goten and Trunks are too young thing, it doesn't really sit well with me. I mean, like, there's a couple of different ways you can spin this, because I do understand that the stakes are higher this time around, right? Like, if you lose, your universe is gone. But that may also mean that they need Goten and Trunks to participate. I can't see many reasons as to why the show would legitimately not take advantage of those characters. As far as the show itself goes, I mean, there was talk that maybe Zawa doesn't want to voice Goten, which I can understand. She's already going to be voicing Goku and Gohan. She just came off an arc where she voiced those three and Goku Black on one of their scenes and stuff like that. So I can totally understand it if that's the reasoning. But, you know, setting the logistics of it aside, right? There are not too many reasons as to why Goten and Trunks can't participate in this. The whole they're too young thing doesn't really sit well with me. I haven't published a video yet about how old they are yet. But, I mean, they're pretty much at a point where they're like 13 or 14. The show treats them like they're still 7 and 8. But time has passed. It's almost basically the same exact age as what Dragon Ball calls years. It's almost the exact same age, air quotes up, as it was around the time where Gohan died in Future Trunks' timeline. So like he was 14 then, if I recall correctly. So it's like these characters are right there, 12, 13, 14 years old. They're not little kids anymore. So the show has also taken liberties recently with kind of showing that, and like stuff like Gohan and Goten where they were trailing Goku, and, you know, he pulled out the Great Saiyaman stuff and he's like, oh, that's lame, but he's like, oh, but you used to think that was cool, you know, like stuff like that. They hint at these characters being a little older, but they refuse to actually show a visual change in the characters. That may be just for marketing, whatever the case is, but they still treat them like they're 7 and 8 years old. And if you recall the previous tournament, Vegeta told them they can't partake in it because 1, they're too young, and 2, they're too reliant on the fusion. He said, you know, you guys need to learn how to fight individually before you guys can partake in this. And they, you know, they're bummed by that, of course, but it was a legitimate point. Maybe they are way too reliant on, you know, Gotenks as a candidate, that they're not strong enough to fight individually. That being said, I do think that individually with their Super Saiyan multiplier and stuff like that, they can beat out Krillin. I don't think they can beat out 18 and 17. I don't think they can, but they definitely can beat out Krillin, most likely Tien as well, and Master Roshi as far as fighting, just hand-to-hand combat goes. But then you look at, hey man, it's always nice to have a veteran on the squad, and that's Master Roshi's role. He's a veteran character. He's a character that is there to kind of add a little bit of guidance, and I think that the show will be like, hey, you know, we can't let these two come, Goten and Trunks, but we need one more character. Who would it be? And Master Roshi is going to be, you know, peeping at some chick and like, oh, Roshi, come with us, man. You know, like, I really do think they'll do something like that. He's like, no, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. You know, I do think that'll be something that's interesting, but you have to understand as well that this is Beerus' team. This is also a very, very, you know, kind of fallacious arc, right? Because the thing is, you know, your whole entire universe is destroyed. That is so, and I talked about this in a recent video, that is such a crazy thing to say and to kind of digest as a concept, because there are all of these innocent people that have no idea what's going on, and they're just going to die. You know, everything for them is just going to stop randomly. So obviously you're going to want to put your best foot forward, bring the best squad you potentially can, and with Beerus being the head, you know, the spear of that, him and Whis, I assume, you know, they have to have a legitimate reason for choosing every character that they chose. So that being said, if Roshi wasn't going to add something valuable to the team, I don't think that they would have allowed him to come. Same for Tien, same for Krillin. Everyone else, like I said, is okay. Gohan probably got back to training. I mean, he's in the gi again. He doesn't have a bang. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I think that that's just him in his suppressed state. When he powers up, it'll probably bring a bang out just to signify that he has powered up. I think that's what'll happen. Otherwise, he just kind of will look weird. Because he looks really weird with that design, that hair design that he's had all through Super, aside from like the Resurrection F stuff. He's always had that little bangless Vegeta hairline in Dragon Ball Super, so I don't know. But as far as like Goten and Trunks go, they are noticeably not there, just kind of harking in on other reasons why I think they couldn't be there. Once again, the show may not want to put all that pressure on the kids. Maybe, you know, Chi-Chi and Bulma don't want them to compete because, you know, Bulma is a more laid-back parent. You know, whether that's a good thing or not is debatable, but she is. I can see her allowing Trunks to partake, but maybe Goku and Vegeta kind of tell them, no, hey, this is too much for you kids. But my problem with that is that even though the concept isn't 100% the same, they did allow a young Gohan to participate in the Cell games. He was their last hope, right? Because Goku knew that nobody could beat Cell but Gohan, so he had no choice. And like I said, it's not really the same concept, but it is a little bit similar in the concept that you have a younger character, a kid basically, partaking in otherworldly stakes. You know, if they lose this, you know, Gohan scenario, if they lose, there's nobody that can stop Cell, and he's going to, you know, destroy the Earth, whatever he was going to do. I don't really exactly recall. So it's a similar concept, man. So I don't know. I've kind of blurbed on. I do want to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you think that it's a good idea to choose the characters that they have here? Do you think they should have made some changes? Can you see reasons as to why Goten and Trunks, excuse me, were not allowed to partake in this? Or do you think maybe later on they will partake in it somehow? Do you think things will change? So let me know down below in the comments. I'll totally be checking that out. But as for today's video, I do appreciate you coming into today's video and subscribing if you happen to be new. Otherwise, it's been a blast. I'll catch you guys later. Have an awesome day and a happy new year as well. Hashtag Krillin in the comment section. Peace.